Hi, I'm Nicole Majeski, Secretary of the Delaware Department of Transportation, and welcome to On the Move with DelDOT, Delaware's transportation podcast. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to On the Move with DelDOT. I'm C.R. McLeod, Director of Community Relations. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of our latest podcast. With our closing of the year, we thought it'd be the appropriate time to feature our secretary, soon to be former Secretary Nicole Majeski, before she moves on from the department. Nicole, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
And really wanted to just take an opportunity today to talk about where DelDOT has been. You've been with the department for 13 years.
13 years. It's kind of crazy.
As your tenure winds down, just thought it'd be a great opportunity to look back, look ahead, and just get some of your insights on, what lies ahead for the department, and really what you feel really good about with the department as you prepare to move on. So
yeah, it's definitely bittersweet.
Yeah,
It's been 13 years, and it's been an amazing ride. And I'm very fortunate to have served the last 4 years as the cabinet secretary under the Carney administration. It's an opportunity of a lifetime to do that. But really, the fact that I've gotten to spend 13 years at the department, and
it's a long time.
It's a really long time. And it's also it's been an amazing experience. And I am very grateful for the people that I have gotten to know and gotten to work with over the years.
So, big things have happened. We do big things in this department. And, we'll just start off with, really a retrospective of, what stands out to you when you're looking back. What really, are there any specific events, projects, things that stick out in your mind that have happened that really help define, I think, that your time here?
Yeah. So I think, people obviously, when they think of DelDOT, they think of, roads and bridges or transit or DMV, right? It's like the bigger picture things. And I think we've got a lot of really big standout projects. In the 13 years, I think when I first started is when we did the ribbon cutting for IRIB, which is like crazy to think about. That really does feel like a lifetime ago. And then, the construction of 301, the opening of a new highway system is just huge. And then, of course, the Restore the Corridor project on I-95, being able to do that, and the creation of the Jack Markell Trail. Those are like big ticket projects that people obviously are familiar with. They get a lot of attention. But I think for me, I've always been proud of kind of maybe the smaller stuff that we've done that maybe hasn't gotten as much attention over the years. I think we do an outstanding job of educating kids on bike safety, and our team in planning. I've gotten to do some of the bike rodeos and go to some schools and be able to see these kids and help them learn how to ride bikes. And it's awesome. And it's something that doesn't get highlighted a lot, but it's such a meaningful, impactful thing that our employees do in giving back to the community. So things like that. I think Project Search for me is as a standout. It's a partnership that we have done with the Cesar Rodney School District and
Sure.
the Charlton School. So these are kids that are in their last eligible year of high school who have some sort of cognitive disability. And we've been running this program for several years now. And they're interns with us. They get to spend their last school year with us doing internships and then hopefully get in full-time employment. And we've been able to hire a number of them. And so things like that have been, I think, the most meaningful to me, just from a, if you want to talk about a project scale of
Sure.
things.
Yeah, absolutely. And just mentioning Project Search, it's really twofold. It's not only are we seeing these students find value and learn skills, seeing how our employees have embraced the program and welcomed these interns in has been,
It's been life-changing.
Yeah, it's been
life-changing all around for everyone involved, the families, for the employees, for the students. It's just been, I'm very grateful that we were part of that program.
Yeah, and I think that really leads into the next question I had for you, because I think you're very proud of that. But what are things that you're most proud of during your time here?
I would say our focus on safety Obviously, as a Department of Transportation, safety is our top priority, the safety of the traveling public, regardless of the mode of transportation that you're using, and then the safety of our people that are out on the roadway every single day. Obviously, we had one of the deadliest years a few years ago,
Hmm.
and for me, it is the worst part of this job.
Right.
Every crash that occurs, I get a notification. Every fatality that occurs, I get the fatality report. Our people are responding to those crashes every single day, and it weighs on you. And so, having that record year, it was, we were doing all the things, but we needed to do more, and we needed to think differently in how we were approaching safety. And so, the fact that we were able to get the support for the traffic safety legislation and get that passed
Right.
is huge. The fact that we were able to launch a new education campaign on the Be Delaware towards
Be
zero
Delaware.
deaths,
That's
and,
right.
asking people to be proactive and be a
Mhm.
hero towards zero and like take responsibility for their own safety when they're out in the roadways. The partnership with law enforcement and being innovative in how we were, approaching law enforcement and creating the new highway safety unit, and then just our traffic safety folks and our traffic engineers and how they approach things differently and using different engineering countermeasures in order to keep people safe and embracing the safe system approach on the recognition that people are going to make mistakes.
Right.
And we have to account for that. And our job is to make sure that those mistakes don't turn into tragedies. And I think, the last 2 years, we've seen the numbers thankfully decline, but still, one fatality is too many. And so we have to do more. And, the department needs to continue to do more into the future. But I think the fact that we are shifting, the tide a little bit and we're being innovative in how we're doing that, and it's all been all encompassing, I would say that's probably the thing that I'm the most proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a trend that we had seen not just in Delaware but nationwide that has been a great cause for concern. So, the fact that we continue to make these investments to not only make roads safer for cars, people in cars, it's whether you're walking, whether you're riding a bike, whether you're taking public transportation, it really will continue to be a key focus for the department.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing about the agency as a whole in kind of the look back of the last 13 years is that, you know, we always were about all the modes, but I think we definitely have evolved over the last 13 years or so in focusing on all modes of transportation. So we're not just a DOT that's focused on roads and bridges. Obviously, we're going to invest in that infrastructure, but how do we design roadways that are, taking all those modes into consideration and investing in the bike trails and the pathways and, looking at how we're delivering transit services and all of those things. I think we definitely have evolved in that, we're focusing on all the modes and making sure that we're providing, we say we need to be providing equity in transportation. We have to make sure that everyone is being able to receive the services that we are providing and that our projects are reaching everyone and that everyone can benefit from them.
Yeah, definitely. And before you leave, we'll be celebrating the official groundbreaking for the final phase of the Georgetown to Lewis Trail, which is
Yes.
going to be a huge win.
It's a huge, huge accomplishment. The staff has done a tremendous job on the creation of that trail. And it's taken, it's taken several years, and we're very fortunate to have some federal funding to help us support that. But that is a perfect example of how it's the use of bike trails and these multi-use paths. It has evolved so much over the 13 years.
Mhm.
It before it was kind of a nice to have, a recreational type thing, but now people are using it to commute to and from work, or to avoid Route 1 to go down to the beach. You can get on the trail in Georgetown and you can bike all the way to Lewis, all the way to Rehoboth. I mean, it's just it definitely has transformed, I think, how people are traveling, especially the Jack Markell Trail. I mean, that alone, the number of people that use that to commute in and out of Wilmington every day, it's amazing. And so that's just one, I think, of the examples of how like the transportation network has evolved and how we've been incorporating all the modes.
Yeah, and just when we're looking back, I think, there's a number of things that, I give credit to you for prioritizing for the department, and that focus on, regardless of the project that we're doing, how do we make sure that we are taking all of those considerations uh, into, as we're planning these projects, to ensure that we are making improvements that will benefit everyone, not just those that are behind the wheel of a car.
Exactly. And I think, and it does come back to safety, because we have to provide safe access for everyone who's out there, whether they're walking, they're biking, they're on a motorcycle, they're in a car, they're on a bus, whatever it might be. So I think incorporating all those modes, and then really with the kind of through the lens of like, how do we keep them safe, is just, it's so important.
And, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about what externally is facing, what people, the trails, roads, those are things that people see every day and experience. But a lot has happened internally here at DelDOT. And, one thing I wanted to mention and just have you comment on is that, the DelDOT Leadership Academy, what that's meant to our employees.
Yeah, that is another project that I am super proud of and am grateful that I got the opportunity to be a part of. It started over 10 years ago, and we wanted to create a leadership program for kind of rising stars within the agency. And how do we do that? And so what we did was we created a 5-week course where we, selected employees from each of our divisions, and we pulled them out of their regular jobs, and they got to be immersed in leadership training for 5 weeks. And what's been great is that I got to be, just intimately involved in it, in the development of the agenda, got to be able to do presentations, got to really know all of the graduates. And we've graduated 10 classes. And it's just been one of the most fulfilling things that I've gotten to do, and seeing the growth of our employees over those years, and just really being able to provide them the tools that they needed to be successful and to really reach their potential. So I'm super proud of that program, and just grateful that it was an avenue that we could, teach employees more about the department just outside of, their particular section or division. So they got exposed to everything, but then, how to really step outside of their own comfort zone and then watch them grow. So that's just been super rewarding to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. That investing in our employees, it's very competitive to keep employees, and making those employees feel valued and giving them the tools where they're able to grow and continue on with the department. I think it's a testament to the time and energy that you've put into that. Another part that does get some recognition, I think, but it's really a critical piece. It takes a lot of money to run this to do the things we do, and obviously, fiscal management is a huge piece of this department. Again, it's not the shiniest thing that people want to hear about, but it's important to note just the steps that have been taken to ensure that this department is in good fiscal health and will continue to be for the future, because of the work that's gone on behind the scenes. And I just didn't know if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have an outstanding finance department. And, we have had, through the bipartisan infrastructure law, and the investments that we've made at the state level, we've had the largest capital program in the history of the department. So during the Carney administration, we will have spent $5.1 billion on transportation improvements.
Billion with a B.
Yes,
Yeah.
across the state, which is just phenomenal. And we have been able to do that because our finance folks have been they're conservative in how they are doing their budgeting. They are just how they're forecasting everything, how we have invested, how we have structured everything. We have 3 revenue sources that I think people are familiar with, tolls, DMV fees, and motor fuel tax, and then obviously the federal funding and the borrowing schedule that we have. But they have just done an outstanding job of fiscal management and being just the approach has not been, hey, let's just spend for the sake of spending. It has been like, how do we do this wisely and make sure that we are in a good, sound financial position? And I think, the fact that Moody's increased our rating, that we have a AAA bond rating.
This isn't just us patting ourselves on the back and saying, hey, we're doing a good job, public.
Right.
We're hearing from third parties, hey, they are doing a good job.
Exactly. Right. And I think we are one of the only transportation agencies that has a AAA bond rating. If there are others, there's very few. And, and we have a AA+ from S&P. So,
and to the average person, what that means is it costs less for us to borrow money.
Exactly.
And we're able to do more as a result. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is a true testament to the finance team and the work that they have done to make sure that we're on strong financial footing. So just huge kudos to them.
Yeah. And then, lastly, another thing that has really been a priority that you've focused on is equity in transportation. And just curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, back to the fact that, we have to make sure that we're accounting for, all the modes of transportation, right? But we have to make sure that we are being equitable across the state and that everyone has access to the resources and the services that we provide and that our network is touching everyone. So what we were able to develop a few years ago was an equity mapping tool, an analysis tool, really, is to kind of look at the entire state, take census data, take all this data from other state agencies and say, like, are we applying our projects, our services equitably and making sure that underserved communities are actually being represented and that we are being proactive in going out to communities, especially if we're going to have a project that's going to be impacting them, listening to them, and going to them. We can't expect people to find us, right? We have to be in the community and really talk to them and listen to their concerns and make sure that it's they're being addressed. And so, that's been a huge focus. I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and especially, I think from the transit side of things, we did a whole DART Reimagined and spent a year and a half going out and analyzing how we're providing transit service because ever since the pandemic, the ridership has changed, and so. The DTC team, outstanding job of going out, talking to our customers, talking to residents, different businesses, communities, and really trying to understand like what kind of transit service do they want. And they've been able to put the report together and they've got a great action plan. And I think that, will go a long way because, there are so many people that rely on us day in and day out for transportation because they can't afford a car or, they don't want to have a car or whatever it might be. And so being able to provide, especially, equitable transit service for everyone, that's just that it's so important. And the work that DTC is doing to make that happen is it's great.
And we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of DART Paratransit.
Yes, which is amazing.
Hearing the stories and again, just of the impact that service has for so many people every day.
Delaware is unique. We always say because we have 90% of the roads and bridges. Most states are responsible for about 20%, and we've got 90%. But we're also responsible for 100% of public transit.
Right.
I don't know any other state that's like that. Maybe one or two. But for us, we're providing that paratransit, especially paratransit. I mean, that's life-saving transportation and services that we're providing every single day. So that just to see. Hear from our customers, the testimonials, it's amazing. It's amazing what they do. And, the work that they are doing especially is impacting the quality of life for people. And I don't think you don't realize just the true impact of, your day-to-day job until you get to hear from those customers directly.
Yeah, absolutely. And, these are all, great examples and are really just touching on, some of the many things that have happened, here in the department that are, that are great to talk about. As you prepare to pass the torch, though, there's always challenges. There's always going to be challenges for the department. Just curious what you would think are some things that are important for us to continue to focus on going forward.
So safety will always be the top priority. And while we have made progress in seeing those serious injury and fatality numbers decline, more work has to be done there. I mean, that is something that has to be a constant. Keeping people safe is our top priority. And so that will always need to be at the forefront for our agency. The second big thing is really the funding. And we're seeing the landscape change. As I mentioned, we have 3 revenue sources, one of those being motor fuel tax. With the increased number of electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, or even the fact that vehicles are just becoming more energy efficient, that's less motor fuel tax that we're collecting. And right now, there isn't a mechanism for, if you buy an EV or a hybrid, if you will, you're paying, the dock fee when you buy the vehicle. But then, especially for an EV, you're not paying anything else unless you're going through a toll, right?
Right.
So you're still having the wear and tear on the vehicle. And so we did have the University of Delaware do an analysis on the impacts of motor fuel tax as we see the increase in EVs add to the registration of the registration of vehicles. And it's significant. It will be a significant loss of revenue over the next few years. And so that needs to be a priority and a focus on how do we account for that? How do we replace that funding with something else? And looking at what other states are doing, because we're seeing about 1,000 new EVs or hybrids registered every month for the last 6 months. And so that's significant. And that's going to keep on increasing as the market becomes more available for folks. So,
and it's not just a Delaware issue.
No, it is a nationwide issue, and it's something that everybody's going to have to be, I think everybody is looking at, and I think, different states are trying different things, and so it's kind of figuring out what works best here. And I don't think it's one size fits all. It's probably going to be a combination of things. And then I would say the last big thing is resiliency. We haven't had a chance to talk about that yet, but, we are the lowest lying state in the nation. On any given day, we have 14,000 road segments that are impacted by tidal flooding. So the importance of that, it needs to be, again, incorporated into what we are doing from a design standpoint with any future projects. It also needs to be like, how do we make the existing infrastructure more resilient, if you will? And so super proud of the fact that we created a new division during my tenure at DelDOT that focuses specifically on transportation resiliency and sustainability. And the work that they've done has been phenomenal in just a short period of time. And that's everything from looking at innovative materials, how are we designing things a little bit differently, sensors on roadways to give people more access, more awareness that things are coming. So, that is an issue that's not going to go away. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse.
Right.
And so it needs to be a focus point and incorporated in how we are designing projects, how we're maintaining projects, and, what can we do to the existing infrastructure to keep it more resilient?
Well, again, having people focused on that and looking at those challenges are really key as we go forward. So, as we wind down, just wanted to also, get your thoughts on something that the public may not know or appreciate about the department, that they're just, that they might take for granted, that's something that's happening and, that we're proud of, or you're proud of more specifically.
So I would say our traffic safety folks and our special events team. So I think people are aware that we have the Transportation Management Center. It's a 24/7 center that's, people can call into to report issues. They're monitoring traffic situations. They're getting alerts out to the public, whenever there's a crash or anything like that.
Pound 77.
Pound 77.
24/7.
Exactly.
If you call that, a person is going to answer
exactly
that call.
And within that team, you have the folks that are at TMC, working those 24/7 shifts, who are there for every event. I've spent a lot of early morning hours at the TMC, whether it's a weather-related event or whatever it might be. But then you have the folks that are responding to those incidents, and especially the traffic safety folks that have to respond to those fatalities. What they do, we can't thank them enough, and they have seen just unimaginable horrors on our roadways, and the fact that they're able to do that job And really, they're out there to keep the traveling public safe while the investigation is happening. And then our special events team that are all kind of housed within there. They kind of overlap a little bit. I don't think people realize the number of special events that we play a part in. So over 1,000 of them, we are staffing a year. We're reviewing their maintenance of traffic plan. So there isn't really a special event that happens in the state that we're not a part of, and that our team isn't either there or have looked at it to ensure that it's safe. And it's everything from, you obviously have like the big NASCAR races and Firefly back in the day. But it's the food bank distribution centers. It's, 5K events. It's UD football games. It's graduations. It's parades. Whatever it might be throughout the state, our team is there. And I don't think they get the recognition that they deserve for the amount of work that they're doing. But like I said, over 1,000 events that they're staffing, making sure that they're running smoothly and the people that are attending are being safe. And so just a huge kudos to them. And then, that whole group, over the last 13 years, we obviously had the pandemic in the middle of this. And, 4 years ago, when I assumed this role, we were standing up vaccination clinics at the DMV, and something that a Department of Transportation normally would not have any role in, but we can do logistics really well. So we ended up playing a huge role in that, and our team just went above and beyond in being able to help support all of those and help people, stay safe and get vaccinated.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today as you're winding down and preparing for your next chapter, and just wanted to have the opportunity to look back with you and talk about some things and look ahead a little bit as well, and just say thank you for all you've done, and the floor is yours in closing.
I would just say, I've always said that Delta, and I'm not saying this just because I've been here for 13 years and, I'm biased, but I do think that the Department of Transportation has the most dedicated, hardest working employees in all of state government, and I stand behind that. We are such a public-facing agency. At DMV, they are serving about 1 million customers a year that are coming through the DMV. Transit, over 7 million fixed route trips that they're providing every single year, 1 million paratransit trips. I mean, that is just the customer service that we're providing with that alone is just amazing. And then everything that we are doing to maintain our existing infrastructure, and then all of the enhancements that we're doing, the investments that we're making to make it safer, going forward for all modes of transportation. I think, I can't say enough about the employees here. They are just some of the most innovative, brilliant people that I have had the privilege to work with, and they are passionate about what they do. They care about the public. They care about the work that they do. And just the work they do matters more than I think that they ever realize, just the impact that they have. So I'm just grateful that I got to be a part of it. And, I'm super grateful to Governor Carney for the opportunity. And we didn't talk about the one thing.
We would be remiss.
People, if we did not mention keep DE litter free.
That's right. Yeah.
The governor declared a war on litter, I think, in 2019, right? And we've all had the pleasure of picking up trash with him along various roadways throughout the state over the years.
This isn't just something he proclaimed and then let other people do it.
He is
multiple times a year. He
is out there. He will. I have given him a safety vest, and he has his own picker, and he is out there on weekends just along the side of the road picking up trash. But the work that our team has done, and especially the maintenance folks, our maintenance folks, they are responding to all the weather events and just everyday pothole issues and drainage issues and grass cutting issues. But they have picked up 309,000 bags of trash since Keep DE Litter Free was started in 2019. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And, I can't thank them enough. The governor cannot thank them enough for the work that they have done. He actually sent me a photo over the weekend of like pictures of him with staff that popped up like on one of his memories of him out there on the roadways. So,
and we've got amazing volunteers. We've got
do.
amazing volunteer groups that help us in that initiative. So yeah, it's definitely a success. We all know there's more to be done, but we've really ramped up our efforts. Well, thank you again.
Of course.
And just want to thank our audience for joining us and tuning in to on the Move with Del Dot. If you have an idea for a future episode as we look ahead to 2025, you can drop us an email, dotpr@delaware.gov, and put podcast topic in the subject line. We'd love to hear from you and get your feedback as we move forward and continue to look for interesting subjects that are of interest to the community. Just also want to give a shout out to our producer extraordinaire and multimedia coordinator, Chris Owens, the man behind the curtain. Chris, thank you for all of your work to not only produce the podcast, but all of our multimedia content across the department and really pitching in to help across the state.
He makes us look and sound good.
That's right. And just want to, again, wish everyone happy holidays as we close out the year, and just wherever you're going, near or far, just please travel safely. So until next time, I'm C.R. McLeod with Secretary Majeski. Thanks for joining us on the Move with Del Dot.
Thank you for taking the time to learn about what's happening in transportation across our state. If you have any questions about what you heard in this episode, please let us know in the comments. Be sure to follow us on all our social media platforms linked in the description.